Welcome to this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. I'm your host, Dr. Marshall Kamina. Joining me today is Mayor John Marchand from the city of Livermore, and welcome to you by all means.
Oh, it's always fun to be here, Marshall. It's good to be back.
You always have good topics in Mayor's Choice, and I wonder, what would you like to cover today on that very issue?
Well, as we all know, Livermore continues to be a remarkable city. And in a large part, it's the people that work there. It's the people that are actually doing the job. So we had our Employee Service Awards yesterday, and recognizing the people that had been there for 5, 10, 15, 30 years. We honored 68 people that had worked there. In fact, 2 of them are retired. One of them was Mary Ann Lobo. She worked with us.
Yes. I finally found out what her maiden name was because it was written in along with Lobo.
That's right. But so we were honoring her yesterday as well. So we had 68 employees, 2 retirees, 66 that are still there, ranging in, they've worked there from 5 to 30 years. John Gormley has been there for 30 years, and he got a standing ovation in Public Works, but everybody that recognized how valuable these employees are, he got a standing ovation. I thought that was the coolest thing. But what was interesting is they all get a certificate, and it's signed by me and also by the city manager. And what's interesting is we have people that have been there for 20, 25 years, and I'm signing these certificates, and I've never seen these people. It's kind of
Maybe
funny.
they were in maintenance.
Well, they're in maintenance. They're in the auto shop. They're at the water resources facility. So they're busy doing their job,
right,
which is critical to the quality of life that we enjoy. And they've been here for 25 years. I've never seen them because they're busy doing their jobs.
But weren't they pleased to be honored?
They were, and it's that recognition. Just when you've worked in a job for 25 years, it's dedication to a career, and people understand how important the job that we do, and that's why everybody is passionate about serving our community, because they understand that when somebody turns on the faucet, you assume that fresh water, clean water is going to be coming out. Yes. But when you turn on the faucet and the water goes down the drain, when you flush the toilet and the water goes down the drain, you expect that to eventually be treated. And that's one of the cool things about our wastewater treatment plant or our water reclamation facility, is we have those murals on the tanks and on the digesters. And that was recognized by the Farallons Marine Sanctuary Award for Environmental Stewardship, because it recognizes that what we do in that water reclamation plant helps to save the animals that Darren Greenwood, the plant superintendent, painted on those tanks and
Darren's
digesters.
still there?
Yeah, Darren long retired, but we were recognized as what we do in that plant saves those animals in the ocean. And it's that passion and that we bring, and that people just take what we do for granted, and you just assume this stuff is going to happen. You assume that the roads are going to be well maintained, or the sidewalks will be maintained. So what the city employees do, in a large part, people don't notice, and it's like housework. You only notice it if it's not done, right? You only notice when the laundry starts to pile up or the dishes pile up. But they're so good at the job they do that really nobody notices how good a job the city does, because they do it so well. So yesterday we honored the employees that really make the city work. Over 775 years of service were recognized yesterday.
Is that right?
Yeah, between 68 employees. So it's a great place to be. But you know that.
No, I absolutely do. Several years ago, my father-in-law, who dug where Shadow Cliffs is, and he told me he had to go down 55 feet before he hit water, mentioned to me that our Livermore Airport, when it was originally dedicated, was mainly there as a result of being a secondary airport in case San Francisco was too busy or was all fogged up.
It's called a reliever airport.
Yes, indeed. And we had a Super Bowl not long ago. And guess what? That increased how busy it was at the airport here. And I wondered, with the successful Super Bowl weekend, can you share some of the highlights with us?
Absolutely. So yes, because and it's really the capacity of the airport. For example, San Jose and San Francisco and Oakland, they did not have the capacity to shoehorn in additional planes. So as a reliever airport, they landed here in Livermore. So we had over 50 planes, personal jets. So let's see, the tickets for the Super Bowl were a minimum of $5,000 up to $25,000, and people flying in their private jets. So no wonder there are people that can't believe that there's an economic affordability crisis going on right now. But yes, they had displays set up at the airport highlighting our downtown, highlighting the outlets, our wine country, and some of the local attractions that we have here, so that as people are flying in, they understand that this really is not just a stopover, this is an amazing place to come back and visit. The Elevation LVK, the restaurant there, they stayed open and they were for dining, and they had big screens set up for the guests. And but as I said, we had over 50 planes that came through and landed here. Some of the notable visitors, we had Christian McCaffrey, who's with the 49ers.
Yes.
You may have
one of my
heard,
favorites, even though he went to Stanford.
Okay. You may have heard of, and you're wearing a golden bear. So Justin and Haley Bieber were there, the singer and his wife. Travis Kelce, Pedro Pascal, better known as the Mandalorian.
No.
He flew in.
That's his real name, huh?
No, well, Pedro Pascal is his real name. Singer-actress Teyana Taylor was there. And Lady Gaga flew in. Nobody asked me to show up. Nobody asked me to be there when Lady Gaga came off the plane.
Well, we could have had the halftime right here.
Yeah, we could have. But so we had a lot of notable people come through here. And it was, so we also benefited from the Super Bowl, but people understood just what a valuable resource the airport continues to be, not only as a staging ground for emergencies like the earthquakes and the wildfires we've had,
yes,
but also as that reliever airport so that people can come in and enjoy the remarkable assets that we have here in the Tri-Valley.
Well, on a more sober note, the city recently released its 2025 annual report, and you and I have had a chance to talk about it, and I really hope you wouldn't mind mentioning some of the highlights here to our audience.
Well, one of the highlights is, as you know, and has been the case for a number of years, the number one priority in our budget for the city of Livermore continues to be public safety.
Yes.
And so Livermore was recognized as being the second safest suburb in the state of California. And we are also in the top 10% of the safest suburbs in the nation.
No.
And that doesn't happen by accident.
Did you prepare that statistic?
No, I did not. And you do know that 50% of statistics are made up on the spot 90% of the time. But no, I did not make up that statistic, but I am certainly pleased to tell everybody that's willing to listen that we have those investments in public safety are paying off. Our automated license plate readers, our real-time crime awareness center, those are things that we're using to keep this community safe. Also, we are a hallmark of financial stewardship. We take excellent care of our taxpayers' money. For the 15th consecutive year, we've had a balanced budget. And when you look at the state of California and their multi-billion-dollar budget, right, and that's a moving target, we've had a balanced budget for 15 consecutive years. And that's going back through the time of the Great Recession. So we've purchased, and this I find confusing. So there are people in our community that oppose the preservation of open space. There's a group you may remember called
There is some paradox here.
yeah, so Citizens for Balanced Growth, and they actually came out and opposed the city's acquisition and permanent preservation of open space. But in spite of that, the city is committed to protect the hills and the vineyards around us. So in the last year, we purchased and preserved 330 acres of open space. We've also strategically acquired wildlife corridors up around Highway 580 so that wildlife can continue to move across that corridor.
I see.
So we filled over 1,500 potholes, helped 41 unhoused families secure permanent housing, and we also opened the L Street Garage. So
Isn't that exciting?
It is. So if people want to, in the afternoon, go down to Meadowlark Dairy, or in the evening, go to Verace Gelato, they can park in the garage, and it's a short stroll downtown to enjoy our amazing downtown.
You're making me hungry.
Well, the one thing that we heard from the residents is they wanted more parking in the downtown. And it's funny, I keep getting these emails saying, well, why do we need so much parking in the downtown? I tell them that those 500 spaces between First Street and Railroad, that surface lot's going away when we start building Veterans Park. So we're going to need that parking. But people I think they've gotten spoiled with all the parking that we've got down there. But we're going to definitely need all the parking garages that we've got when we start working on Veterans Park.
Thank you. And on that note, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore in just a moment. Welcome back to this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. We are here talking with Mayor John Marchand from the city of Livermore.
Always fun.
And Railroad Depot. Gosh, that's an exciting thing, more so than you might even think.
I think it's really cool.
Tell us something about it.
Okay, so you remember that the depot used to be at Railroad, aptly named, and L Street. And it was showing its age. It was dilapidated. It was 100 years old. And so we were able to use grants. And by the way, the depot was never moved up until fairly recently. They took the tracks out of the downtown back in the 70s. You were on the council back then.
Yes.
So we finally did move the depot back to the tracks. So it's once again serving as a train depot. Well, we moved back there, and the two Rotary clubs, the morning and the afternoon club, the Livermore Heritage Guild and the Rotary Foundation have all come together to help continue to restore the building, and they've partnered together to restore the old freight room, and they've used some of the original siding from the building. They went back and researched, got the original colors for the building, and they're transforming the freight storage area now into a community meeting room. It's including, they're adding a kitchenette, an ADA accessible restroom, new paint, and they're going to turn this into a meeting and a community room. So it's going to be named after Alan Frank, because Alan Frank he recently was our city historian. Mm-hmm. He was also instrumental in the historical details around moving the depot back to the tracks. He was one of the founders of the Livermore Valley Opera, and also he was on the board for Livermore Amateur Symphony. He was key in working with the arts. He was one of the, along with me, we helped found the Bothwell Center for the Arts. We both worked very hard to make that happen. So he's written 3 books on railroad history and also on the history of Livermore. And he's been a tremendous supporter of the arts and our community. So they're going to name this community and meeting room after Alan Frank. And I think that the city historian and so much has been done by him for the community that it's absolutely appropriate that we name it after him, because he did so much not only for the community but also in getting the depot where it is today.
Do you remember, though, for a while one of the freight cars was a sort of a nice restaurant?
It was. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Me either.
But it was a restaurant, and then we eventually moved back to the tracks, and once again it is serving as a depot.
Well, now that we are being so proud of Livermore, I would like to refer to the San Francisco Wine Competition. And as we've talked about previously, Livermore was the first wine industry in California. Actually, it was the first registered wine industry in the United States, if the truth be known.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a big part of Livermore's history and continues to bring, as you indicated, businesses to the people and to Livermore. They recently won a record number of medals at the 2026 San Francisco Chronicle Wine Competition. That's a mouthful.
It is.
Tell us about it.
Well, so that is the largest competition in the world, the San Francisco Wine Competition. And of course, this is a long-standing history. As you know, Livermore is the first winery in America to win an international gold medal, and that was in 1889. The same year that they unveiled the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Exposition in France. Now, much was made of the decision of 1976 in the movie Bottle Shock, which recognized Chateau Montelena being awarded the Grand Prix at a much smaller competition in France. But Livermore, out of 17,000 wines, won in 1889. So we've got this long-standing history of producing award-winning wines here. So at the San Francisco Wine Competition, after the dust settled, Livermore had won 239 medals at the San Francisco competition, and it is they won 8 best of class, 30 double gold, and among those were Almost Famous, won best in class for the Sauvignon Blanc. Darcy Kent also won best in class for their Sauvignon Blanc. They break these down in cost increments, but they both won best in class, which doesn't surprise me because Darcy and Kent is the brains behind both of those. Las Positas Winery was recognized for their Tempranillo as best in class. Guéret was recognized for their Rosé, and Concannon was a best in class Chardonnay, as was Mitchell Katz. So we absolutely rocked it as showing that Livermore off as a premier wine destination. This continues to support local businesses, local jobs, our tourism industry. It reflects the passion and the collaboration of our winemaking region, and this is part of our identity and how we foster this idea of innovation mixed with tradition and also small businesses.
And if you and I were ever to visit the Pope, I personally haven't had an invitation, but you might, we would notice that Livermore is the exclusive supplier of sacramental wine to the Vatican, and it has been since 1790.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
And so one of the, Livermore is one of only 5 wineries. Livermore Winery is one of only 5 wineries to have an exhibit at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. And what it is, it's a bottle of, it's Concannon, and it's a 1929 bottle of Angelica. And now, 1929 may sound like an interesting year for a vintage year for wine because that was in the middle of Prohibition.
Yes.
But it was
there was an exemption
sacramental
for them.
But it was a sacramental wine.
Yes.
They had a letter from the Archbishop, and but there is a bottle of 1929 Angelica at the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C.
That is something. Wow, on that note, please tell us about any upcoming events that might come to your mind.
Well, a couple things. We have Livermore Reads Together. It's going to be running from March 1st through the 30th. And for the first time in its history, Livermore Reads Together is going to be highlighting a local author. It's a novel. This is also supported by the Friends of the Livermore Library. But the local author is Ann Parker, and she has a story called Silver Lies, and it's about Leadville in Colorado, and she's a saloon keeper, and it's about the boom town in Leadville, and it follows Inez Stannert, and it's a suspicious death of a precious metals assay officer, and it's got fraud and blackmail and murder and intrigue and all sorts of these complex plot elements moving around. But it's back in 1879, which is just a few years after Livermore was incorporated. So it looks like an interesting read, so certainly encourage people to take in that. That's available at the Livermore Library. And also, we're going to have the Livermore Half Marathon. That's going to be held March 1st, a Sunday. And so there's going to be various road closures as the people run through what has been called the most beautiful half marathon in California, because they're running through wine country. And then people can go to the police.livermoreca.gov for specific road closure information. But at the end of the run, they come into the downtown, and we've got a health fair in the downtown, and there's going to be wine and beer and food. It's also going to be the farmers market, so people can come on down and just have a great time and celebrate the sports, celebrate the wine country, celebrate Livermore, and our award-winning downtown.
Speaking of downtown, this may be a trivia, but I know that you know the answer to that. After the railroad tracks were removed and all the other things that happened that you talk about, I mean, I have 2 lanes instead of 4 lanes, and Highway 50 isn't there, blah, blah, blah. The donut wheel still is. How come?
The donut wheel is one of those wonderful icons of our community. They're open 24 hours a day, so if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you just got to have a glazed donut, they're open and waiting for you. But it's one of those, I understand Mock's daughter is now taking over managing this shop. But it's just one of those wonderful icons in our community that it's like First Street Ale House, some of the best burgers around. But it's just those places that welcome people in, and people just feel comfortable being there.
Well, the story that I heard was that the Donut Wheels building is the last example of Googie architecture in California, and so by law, it cannot be replaced.
Yeah, the Googie architecture after the Googie coffee shop down in Southern California.
Isn't that incredible?
It is, and so the Googie architecture was based on, it was a 1950s style of what they thought the future would look like.
Yes, there you go.
So so the future is here, right here in downtown Livermore.
Well, we've got time for about one other event that might be coming up that you haven't mentioned.
Well, we've got, so this year marks the 150th anniversary of the incorporation of Livermore. It's also the 125th anniversary of the light bulb. So June 6th, we're going to have a celebration at Fire Station number 6, celebrating the 125th anniversary of our light bulb, which Dennis Burnell donated to the hose cart on 2nd Street and eventually moved to East Avenue. And then on May 28th, we're going to kick off at my State of the City. We'll be kicking off the 150th anniversary of the incorporation of when Livermore became a city. We were founded in 1869. We were platted out, but we actually became a city in 1876. Wow. So 150 years.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for being here today and for all this information. And thank you for watching this edition of Mayor's Report Livermore. Join us for the next episode of Mayor's Report right here on Tri-Valley TV. I'm Dr. Marshall Kamina, and I thank you for joining us.